All right. Good evening, everyone. Setting it down over there. It is February 4th. Oh, let's turn that off. I'm getting some feedback. I always forgot that part. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, and I am live from the studio for another live drawing with James DeSantis. Hello. Yeah, okay. So where were we? What do you mean, where were we? 2 weeks ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. Yeah, I was just doing some sketches. I might be doing the same thing today. There's so much work to be done, and yet I seem to be struggling to figure out what to work on next. Anyway, a lot of shows coming up. I just posted all my shows to social media, although I got a new one registered for later in the month of March. I'm still waiting on confirmations for one in April and one in May as well. So we'll see how they go. But anyway, yeah, this weekend is the horror sideshow. It's just it's in Lehigh Valley, Allentown, Pennsylvania. One day, Saturday, and then I'm going to be at Undead of Winter and Dead of Winter at the end of the month. What am I looking for? Looking for my. Oh yeah, well, we're not ready for that yet. I'm surprised Cirilla's not up here. Let's not try to get her attention yet. All right. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just trying to get some things done so I can start putting out some new work besides continuing with the updating the print selection, because I'm trying to sell out of my fan art stuff, copyrighted IP fan art stuff, and then move on to some new things. But anyway, let's get sketching. I don't have a lot of announcements. I did say it last time, though. There is a chance that the Facebook lives are going to go away. And that's only because StreamYard is starting to charge. These are some things I was working on before. StreamYard is starting to charge more for streaming to multiple places. So, Dragon's Crown art book. This is George Kamatani's stuff, which is really good. So yeah, since they're charging more, I might not be streaming to both places anymore. But that won't happen until like July sometime. So, hey, is there going to be an ice storm on Thursday? I didn't know. I know that there is going to be snow, Rob. But I didn't know it was going to be an ice storm. Thanks for the info. I guess I'm ready for it. I don't mind the cold or anything. They named it Freya. That's even better. Sure. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Why not? Why not? It's, I mean, I knew something was happening. It's going to happen on Thursday. That's too bad. Because I might leave the house again on Thursday. I'm probably going to stay in tomorrow, but that's because I'm going to do I'm trying out Whatnot on Wednesday nights again. The reason is because I updated the show format. I'm doing like a 4-hour stream, and I've been getting commissions on them and, more purchases since I'm just sitting there doing a drawing stream rather than an actual, just trying to sell things all the time. It seems like people are responding better to it, and I get more people viewing it. So, and I don't have as many conflicts with Wednesday nights. I was getting a little burnt out and had some distractions some Wednesday nights before, but yeah, I'm like happy to try it out again. Especially if I can reach new people, which the live streams are working out for, not on not on Facebook / YouTube, which I'm going to continue to do, but Whatnot, I'm reaching more people. I highlighted your comment because I am presently going to answer it. So it was good. I'm glad you and Lauren came out. Sorry she wasn't feeling the best. You didn't have to. My sister-in-law was very grateful, though she said she told you a different price than she said she told you less than what you paid me. So she didn't inform me that at the time, but she said it was very nice. You didn't have to pay that much. But also, yeah, the show went fine. I had a good time. Saw a bunch of people, got a commission. Well, not got a commission. I mean, I was just given a piece of artwork by Nick Capone, who did a really nice Chadiana piece. Hang on one second. I haven't thrown it in a portfolio yet, so it's just like near at hand. But that was by Nick Capone. He gave me that at the end of the weekend. Because he's been reading the issues of Chadiana so far. He's been enjoying them. And yeah, yeah, it's a really good piece. And then who knows, I might use him for a cover in the future once I can get these other issues done. Totally not excusing anything, but I am going to say that January was a ridiculous month because so many shows. The reason I was able to put out at like full schedule like I did, every show in creation that I was looking at seemed to want to book tables in January. So almost my entire year is booked up already. That's good and bad because there's probably some shows I'm not going to be able to do that I was planning on doing, but other ones just like really got their dates locked in. It's crazy. But anyway, you were asking me about the show. I mean, it went successfully. I was a little nervous because they put us, all the artists, in the one room, and I was used to being in the bigger barn. But it worked out, Had dinner with my friend Paul and his nephew Aaron. They're taxidermists, Paul's a taxidermist. I don't know if Aaron has his license yet, but he does he's certainly training with Paul. And then, yeah, it was back to back with Keith Williams, who I see at like every show, since we might be the two hardest people working and doing the conventions, So I probably could zoom that in a little bit. I'm afraid that the cat will come up and start competing with it, but this way you guys can actually like see that better. I guess I'm not working very large at the moment. So yeah, it was a good show overall. You may be asking yourself, JM, why are you drawing cool dragons right now? Or maybe you're not. I keep getting asked if I have dragon prints. Although I feel like I should still be concentrating on Nosferatu stuff while the hype is still relevant. Try to cash in a bit on something that I'm really interested in. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been like cycling through a bunch of ideas for different art pieces because my table at this point has become so dominantly horror, it's hard to say that I'm also a fantasy artist. I put out some of the remaining like what is that Hobbit prints I have, which probably most people don't even see them because I never display them. And a friend of mine was like, "Oh, I didn't know you did like hard fantasy art too." And it's like, "Oh yeah, well, I guess it's not very obvious. When I was at the gaming show a few weeks ago, not a couple. It's definitely a few at this point. So yeah, it was just so I feel like I've been feeling it for a while, but I do want to get more fantasy stuff on there because as much as I love my character Chadiana, I have a lot more range. Yeah, dragons and wyverns. I also keep getting asked about doing cat pieces, which I don't know what I want to do with that. Cats. And I've been putting off doing a raven. But I will tell you this, Rob, other than the fact that I really do need to get a new novel out, besides the second edition of Robert Phillips. And although even more importantly, I have to, I don't know about bionic, maybe steampunk. But it's not a bad idea. And though I need to get Chadiana done. Oh, wait, where was I going with this? Chadiana, new novel. Oh, yeah, one of the big projects I think I really need to work on is that tarot deck. When I was at the gaming convention, apparently they're popular in the gaming world. They're obviously popular in the horror and witch market world. And that's just goes to show you how often I listen to the people, Rob. I've been asked to do or to anybody else that's listening, I've been asked to do a tarot deck since 2013 as my best guesstimate. I remember it was somebody at New York Comic Con. There was a couple. And then I remember mentioning it that same year to two friends. And one of the friends at the time was like, yeah, I actually know of a guy that publishes tarot decks, which that exchange of information never led to any work, unfortunately. That's how it goes a lot of the time. But yeah, I should really do a tarot deck. Now, working on this dragon here, right? The problem is I have two different ideas for a dragon piece. One is a revisit of an unfinished painting, which I love the idea of, but I just it was a long time ago, probably 2009 or 10, I think. I just pulled it out earlier. It's like an unfinished piece of a dragon on a cliffside, looking down on a village that it just burnt up, and like all the lights bouncing off the bottom of the dragon and everything. I drew much differently then, so it's not a matter of finishing that. I got to completely restart it and do it. And then the other one, it's kind of this warrior and dragon here. I don't know though. Like for me right now, Dune artwork, I have to read Dune first though, Rob. Right now I'm reading The Night of the Black Rose, and then I promised somebody I would read the Perdido Street Station by China Mieville after this. So Dune is not next on the list. It is on my to be read pile though, which has also been like a long-standing thing. But I have been making time to read more often. I do it in the mornings. I get on a exercise bike peddler thing, and I do my Hindi lessons first, And then I do whatever reading I can get done before I start the workday. Although 9 times out of 10, I start getting interrupted because the messages are already coming in by then. And I'm trying to get better at holding to specific times to answer messages, because January, it got really out of hand. That's how my conventions got so booked up. It just, a lot of friends, which I'm very happy about, were like feeding me other conventions to try. And then there were just a bunch that were on my list that the emails or the application openings came through. So, and that's how I wound up where I am now with it. Oh, and a dragon came up again because I did one for a freelance job. I was staying with Carrie Ann and Steph in Cape Cod when I was working on it, and they were pretty impressed with my dragon. So I thought, well, I keep getting asked, and then they think it looks good. Maybe I should do a dragon painting. The devil all the time. I have heard of it. Donald Ray Pollock. If William Faulkner rose up from the depths of hell, could it be a 5-star book out of 10? No, I assume you mean 5 out of 5. Yeah. Well, we already spoke. I still want to get through the book, all of the Book of the New Sun. I want to get through the what is that? Garden of the Moon or whatever, part of the Fallen. Shit, I can't remember. I'm terrible with it. And then I got to read the Oz books too, because I have these Oz projects I want to work on. But Dune's been recommended to me for a long time because I was always a Star Wars fan, not a Star Trek fan. And people knowing or learning that I really like difficult, wordy, complicated literature were like, well, if you like Star Wars and you like really hard to read stuff, Dune is like 10 times better. So I do have a copy. Hey, Jim, how are you? I've read through most of my, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Yeah, that's the first one. I got to see if I like it first before I keep reading it. Jim, yeah, I read through the sections of Comrie's book that I wanted to do just to brush up on some things. It might not be the exact most creative way to go through it, but I am going to sort of borrow or lift certain things from, well, you knew I was doing that anyway, from certain things, but it's hard because I have documents with I'm doing all right. I just, believe it or not, I've been crazy wanting to work on languages, and I guess that's kind of what I've been explaining a bit. January, I spent like 2 or 3 hours a day on conventions just because of all the contacts I was having with people and stuff about them. So, but I got all the more research. I swear I do more research than I do actual conlanging. I have read so much and reread so much stuff on certain languages and language families and the art of conlanging than I have actually done conlanging work. But I really wanted to get a handle on some of those things just as a extra confidence boost, because the thing is, without regular work on it, I keep losing my place, as it were, in what I was working on. But moving back to the spreadsheets is helping. You know what it is too? There are some words that are coined. This is where it gets a little complicated for me too, Jim. And maybe you could help me with this right now, just workshop it for a second. On one hand, I do have I have like let's just say I got my Duero language family, and that goes down into Alualar and the language of the Amun Commerce Empire, right? Problem is I have, okay, Rob, I'll see you in a bit. This is all the boring stuff except for me and Jim. Problem is I have some words coined here, some words coined here, and some words coined here. So then I need to like backwards engineer some of these words to there and these words to here so that I can get their roots again to then filter new words down from the mother language. Also a problem I'm having, right? Let's say with the Amun Commerce people, right, being more Egyptian and hence more African, they would have had another language they spoke, and that would have been replaced by this language. When you're doing a daughter language, I never really thought about this in too much depth. How much of the mother language do you keep versus how much of the language that's being replaced by the new language? Like how many roots stay from a replaced language versus the new language that's replacing it, if that makes any sense? I know there's two like loaded questions. Well, actually the one's a question and the other one I'm just like detailing kind of part of the headache I'm going through. The good thing is with this family, it's Semitic based. So, as long as I got my 3 consonant roots, usually there's not too much change in sounds. A little bit can happen. There's, certain shifts that happen, but it'll be pretty good. I'm just basically changing the dominance of certain vowels within these and then how some of the structure works. But anyway, yeah. This is the one, unfortunately. This is the one that's represented in the next Chadiana story. And yet it is, first of all, heavily influenced by this one, but it also is influenced by this other weird alienish language that occurs outside of that. I swear I'm not a believer in Egyptian aliens, but that obviously influenced the idea. And then of course they had like a different language that was more African, say Bantu, to that it replaced. I know you can't read all those notes. The linguistic history of Chadiana's world is extremely complicated. But I like the complication. It's just that kind of, just look at that map right there and how nuts it is. Anyway, research is good, but avoid analysis paralysis. Yeah, I know. We've spoken about it before. Is keep or not is entirely up to you. Icelandic retains a lot of Norse, Swedish less so. Same with the distinction of Russian and Bulgarian. That's good. Good to know. I tried looking up how some of them work. I still want to work with a certain set of words that pretty much don't change because I think I found those. I think it only pertains to English. But still, I want to use that list. It's like 23 words that really haven't changed their meaning over the entire course of English. And I'll probably, although it's pretty, I don't know, you might say lame, I'm probably going to use those 23 words as being a consistent thing across all of the languages. So everything in a family will at least keep that meaning being straight all the way through. Well, that was interesting that I found out words that are used more often go through more changes than words that are less used in a language. Anyway, Yeah, the reason I read the more broad chapters was that so I didn't get so myopic with it and wasn't like, oh, it needs to be exactly this or that. I thought if I just got the broad range, it's why I've been looking at protos because they're reconstructions anyway, and they're not so definitive. But I'm trying to keep the flavor of certain families. And some roots just to keep it kind of familiar. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, because some of them are very, very different. And despite my real deep interest in Semitic languages and wanting to learn Arabic, creating one is, for some reason, really gets my OCD going because it's just so particular and mathematical in some ways, which I like about it. But also, it's more complicated than you would think. But I'm getting a handle on how they all work. I am. And there's some things that just neatly fit into what I want. Yeah, I know. We spoke about that too, which is what I am doing. I swear I'm handling this much better than I have in the past. I just, the blessing and the curse of it is that I'm trying to work on multiple at once. And again, like when I have certain words coined in 3 different languages they're different words with different roots in 3 different languages in the same family, I now have to figure out what the, at least a general idea of what the, why can't I think of the word? How the sounds morph over time into each language. So again, mostly in these 3, though, it's just vowel placement and what those vowels are. Yeah, sound changes. Jesus, thank you. Oh my God, brain's not braining today. Like, even though it's not as typical of a Semitic languages, O's are going to factor more in the Dwaro language because I still want it to have a sound of Norse as much as it is a Semitic language. So O's are going to factor a lot heavily, whereas they won't exist in Alu-Alar, and I don't think they're going to exist in Amun Kamris either. I think Alu-Alar is going to stick to I, A, possibly E and U. Amun Kamris has A, U, E, and I think I'm going to replace, just for aesthetics, the I with a Y. And then Dwaro-ish might have all 5. I don't know. I know there's long and short. I get that. But I think it might have, it's definitely going to have A, O, I, and U. It may have E as well. Anyway. But this seems to be the focal point. But also because, again, God, this gets really complicated. So, people are watching like a drawing session, and I'm writing about languages in my sketchbook, and instead, so Dwaro languages are going to be unimaginatively, I say Semitic because Dwaros are the dwarves, right? Your Elvish branch is going to be more PIE, Proto-Indo-European. The languages of humans will be a cross between Dravidian and Bantu, which will eventually like branch off into Dravidian and Bantu. I know about the sound change thing, but I just feel like there are times where, just like you, where I'm like, you know what? I want it to sound like this instead of that. So I'm afraid of like using it. It feels a bit like a cheat to me. I don't know. I know. I'm well aware of it because I had read oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Mark Rosenfelder's is that right? Oh my god, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Well, I had been in communication with him before the joining the conlang list. Oh, right. Giants will be Eralic. And then your godlike beings are going to fall into a category that's more like, I want to say Cintic. No, Sino-Tibetan. I know there's more languages than that, families, right? And then there's some isolates, but those were the main ones I wanted to represent. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I could use the sound change. There was a name for it, the sound change applier, whatever he calls it. But I could use it and then just still change it after the fact. Because having studied Italian, one thing I am aware of is the concept of irregular verbs. And my feeling is, well, if there's irregular verbs, there can be irregular sound changes. There can be irregular whatever the hell I want there to be. It's an irregular, I know. You would think that if I have that much confidence to say something like that, this should be a lot easier of a project for me. It's just, yeah, of course. But, again, I get so detailed oriented that I stopped seeing the forest for the trees. Anyway, dragons, which is what I was working on. Dragons, cats, maybe a raven. I don't know though. I feel like I should be working on those damn Nosferatu pieces and more Chadiana. So anyway, yeah, I'm having to make some changes to my schedule a bit. Oh no, I'm sure you did. I mean, it's always fun hearing about my linguistic projects, right? But yeah, I'm organizing notes, reading up on things just to keep myself focused and confident, heavily borrowing and then getting ready to change it later, looking at old versions of a lot of the languages and then using those roots to either create new words in the new system or keeping them as they are because they work just fine. I mean, there's been enough names coined like Chadiana and Priyanki and stuff like that where, I have to do a bit of what, well, I mean, he did it on a much deeper level with something that wasn't quite as thought out, but I guess what? Oh man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank again. Peterson. Oh my God. It's not Mark. Did with a song on Ice and Fire stuff. Man, I feel really bad that I'm forgetting his name now. Yeah, David. Yeah, but I'm always overthinking things. I'm overthinking this right now. I mean, in the sense of, yeah, I know David. I'm overthinking this right now, right? Because people have been asking me to do about dragon pieces. I feel like I should be working on more Nosferatu stuff, right? I really want to do this piece, which is a combination homage to the Lord of the Pit and the Sorceress Queen cards and Magic the Gathering. So I'm doing my own versions because I'm just trying to get some more fantasy stuff, on my table. And every day I'm rethinking, should I be working on these thumbnails or maybe I should be working on something else? this doesn't preclude me from working on languages. It's 2 different periods of my day. I'm dedicating all my writing hours right now to finishing enough of the language project to just be moving forward. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's kind of boring. I feel like other artists have much nicer sketchbooks. But thank you. Part of the reason you can see it so much is because it's all it's just all in pen. I don't really use pencil much in my sketchbooks anymore. One, because then I don't have to overthink it. Just what gets done is done. Like, I'm not so crazy about the back legs on this dragon, but there it is, just move on. It helps just keep me moving, but there's some weeks where I don't even touch my sketchbook, and then there's other weeks where I will just like fill 10, 20 pages of it. Right now I'm just like in between things. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that's a blessing and a curse, but I do appreciate it. The own flavor thing. A lot of people say unique and its own flavor. And I used to want to have a style that stood out. And now that I have a style that stands out, I question that decision all the time, because I'm just like, maybe I'd be getting more attention if I looked like everybody else a little bit more. But it is what it is. Rob was here earlier, and I was thinking about how I really want to read your book as well, which I feel like I bought over a year ago now, and I haven't even touched it. Dravidian. There's supposed to be an N there. Always. It's my curse. It's why I'm so detail oriented, but it's also why stuff doesn't always get done. I stress too much about things. But I will say this. The fact that I'm getting any time to just sit and research and type up things about the languages, or to even be able to discuss it with you right now to this degree, or sketch dragons in a sketchbook, is great. Because 2 months ago, things were so busy I could barely do any of that. So I am grateful for it. Oh, right. Cats. I did have an idea of doing a little cat night. I don't know how that'll go over, but, just have this chunky little cat in armor. Oh, wait, kudos for what? Oh, man. Sometimes my thoughts are like little lightning bugs. They just they shine out. And then by the time they shine again, I'm not even sure if I'm looking at the same bug anymore. I have no idea what you were saying kudos to. Now my posture's getting bad. Not a strange thing at all, but I got a back brace to help with my posture, because I feel like it's been getting pretty crummy lately. And I don't want health problems with my back down the line. I used to have somewhat lower back problems, and then martial arts kind of took care of it. And I feel like over the last 10 years, I haven't been as good about it. So my family got me, I asked for a back brace. So I'm trying to wear it around the house for at least an hour or 2 a day. But not when I'm drawing. It's a little hard to sit and use it, but technically I should be setting up right now. Oh, I don't know why I'm drawing the armor before I draw the body here. That's not the best way to go about this. I don't know. Oh man, I shouldn't have drawn this. I remember a while ago, I thought if I got a cat, the best name for that cat would be Bartholomew. You know. But now I'm thinking, it would be great writing a whole story about a night cat named Bartholomew. And this is how it happens, Jim. A new idea has been born, and I will obsess over this for years to come, tell people about it. People will say to me, hey, whatever happened to that cat night idea you were talking about a while ago? Give me time. I'm not ready for it yet. I still have Chadiana pages to finish from 16 years ago. Not really. I'm talking about this as a future thing. Or, I still got one language that's eluding me. Can't work on Bartholomew yet. I think that would be a fun character, though. Yeah, I know. And you know too, but I think you've done a phenomenal job. I feel like of all the conlangers that I have come across, and of course I don't know a lot of them, or even know of a lot of them, but I do feel that you are the most impressive to me, Jim. Until I started to get to know you and really understood the scope of it, Lonnie, and what you've done with it and are still able to do with it. And this is me being a huge Tolkien fan, being the guy that inspired me to do it. I think you're the most impressive. I just don't know of anybody that at least in my limited knowledge, to what extent it is limited, I don't know anybody that did anything as impressive as you have. I know, having read his book, David Peterson wrote a whole story for an ex-girlfriend in one of his languages, which I guess gets pretty close to what you've done. But I just feel like Itlani especially is just so developed that you're able to just coin names out of the sky. I can't imagine that. Even Tolkien used to have to sit down with a notebook and start working out the etymology of a word before he would coin it into a language. And you're just like, oh yeah. And you just shoot one off. And it makes sense. I know that, like, you've already worked out why as you're coining it, but I just find that extremely impressive. So, you at least got one fan here, Having said that, and not having read your book yet, which I do feel terrible about. But I was telling Rob before you arrived, or maybe you came in during that period, that I am making a concerted effort to make sure I'm reading every day, because sometimes when I get busy, that gets lost, and I can't let that get lost, because I love reading. Otherwise, I don't really feel like you should be a writer if you aren't reading. Oh, well, thank you for dedicating so much of your time and interest to it. I feel like in the annals of conlanging, your name should be there as a highlight for people to look at and study. Oh, which reminds me, I saw that they changed the dates for the thing to April, right, or March, and it's the same weekend I'm going to be at a show again, the Conlanging convention, and I'm really disappointed because I wanted to try to make it. I was actually looking at getting the ticket, and I was like, "Ah, crap! I'm already booked." If I hadn't already been booked, I would have just not put a convention that weekend because I really wanted to go. Everything booked up so fast. And I have some weekends open. I'm not doing the crazy thing I did last year, but it just didn't fall on a weekend I had available. But, I feel like the reason I thought of it just now is because I feel like they should have you as a guest speaker every year. Just to talk about the what I would consider the pinnacle, the maximum effort and care one could put into a conlang. That's my estimation of the situation, of course. Oh, man. What would be Bartholomew's crest on his thing? Would it be a mouse? I just feel like that's counter to a cat. It could be a lion, but that's a little bit on the nose. Bird would be in the same thing. Wow, I can't believe I'm just so... April 11th through 13th. Yeah, I'm going to be at the Trenton Punk Rock Festival, which is it's not a music festival, it's a convention. Oh, that's really cool though. Oh man. It is literally the same dates. 11th to the 13th. It's not even like I have one day that I could come down, see part of the convention, and then come back to New Jersey. I'm just SOL on that. Yeah. Just when I thought I'd be able to make one. Well, I hope you guys are approved. A collaborative project sounds good. Nothing like, having other people to help. I have considered it for my own projects, but then I feel like they wouldn't be from me. And for this particular one, I want to have my own hands be what created them. So, I'm just doing this to myself at this point. But I would imagine having, well, I guess it could be a blessing or a curse, depending on who the conlangers are. I'm sure you guys work well together, but it could be nice handling different aspects of the language, or, just collaborating completely on the whole thing. And then I'm sure it is like anything else, going from working on your own to working with people definitely creates its challenges. There's, for somebody who's done both, and though I like control over my creative projects, like when I've hired other people to work on Chadiana, and even though I'm the one that's overseeing the project and it's my character, it's less so that when you're collaborating, but I would say, there's just a certain amount, a healthy amount of letting go that you have to do, kind of let the other people shine in the ways they can, I've thought about co-authoring a book. I've never done that with anyone. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience. Any kind of collaboration. So it'd be like Cat Knight Bartholomew. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. This is just totally, well, not exactly. I have been asked about doing a cat. I don't know if that's the kind of cat people were thinking of, though. But there it is. All right. I got to take a sip of my soda again. Oh, Tony Harris. Okay. You are not a language amateur. John Scott. Has he been on? I haven't even been able, even the 2 weekends where I wasn't working at convention, I still was away doing something. So I couldn't even make the two Conlang chats. I feel very much like a terribly delinquent conlanger. I'm the amateur, Jim, not you. Has John Scott been on those chats though? John is a regular. Okay. Is he getting into descriptions? Is he the one with the short hair and the glasses who teaches at a college? I'm pretty sure. I'm going to assume yes. Tony Harris, I remember. I think John and I have spoken. In fact, he was the one that I think told, yeah, okay. He's the one that actually told me to look up Coptic as another source for my Egyptian language, which has been extremely helpful, other than the fact that it's a agglutinative. Agglutinative? I can never say that one right. Rather than Semitic, but that's just a change that happened. Oh, yeah, very knowledgeable. I mean, for sure, you know. Yeah, it was a helpful addition to my research, just because, too many things about ancient Egyptian are not well enough documented. So if I needed some fill-in inspiration, Coptic is a great resource for that. I think Malays was another. Is that right? I think I have it written down somewhere. There was another one he told me to look at, but I've just been focusing on Coptic when I need to. Whew. So what's next here? Dragons, cats. Keep saying that I got to do a Raven piece too. Only thing is, I just don't know what to do. I feel like something that's bothering me about my prints, we're talking about overthinking here, is I feel like everything is just a character with a background. Character with a background. And I don't know. I just feel like my stuff could have more of yeah, believe it or not, I'm pretty good at doing like a bird right out of my head. I used to be better with animals, because usually their back legs I have a pretty good idea, but for some reason I've been struggling with that again. Haven't drawn them as much. But yeah, I did a lot of birds for a while too, so getting their shape is pretty good. I know that crows, ravens have smaller eyes compared to their head size. Anyway, yeah, I just feel like the artwork's been kind of boring. I feel like they should tell a story or something. And I don't want to keep doing so many prints, but people keep asking me for more stuff. I kind of want to sell down the amount of prints I have. The hardest part is I have a lot of Robert E. Howard stuff, specifically like Red Sonja and Solomon Kane, because the Conan print sold out. And I have 2 Hobbit prints. I have a Thorin Oakenshield and a Bilbo Baggins, and they just don't really sell enough. Gandalf's gone, just like the Conan's gone. Listragunu, maybe it's Listragunu, because maybe the that indicates a little bit more of a stress. Fito, that would be too hard. Fitau, I'm going to say. Fitauve, I guess that's and. Zatanu, maybe. Jim will tell me how my pronunciation was. Accents for stress. Cool. All right. See, I kind of know what I'm doing when I read Conlanger's stuff. Yeah, Robert E. Howard has been one of my favorites since late college. But it's just amazing how many people don't. A lot of people know Conan, but Solomon Kane's my favorite. So I did a Solomon Kane piece, and just occasionally somebody really knows and likes Solomon Kane. I'm surprised Red Sonja doesn't go more, although the Red Sonja in the comic books, which is the one I represented, is not quite the Red Sonja. Red Sonja versus Red Sonja, which is Robert E. Howard was the Y, and she was more airships and whatchamacallit, guns and stuff. A very different type of character. But I understand in comic books they wanted a female Conan. So I feel like much and yet nothing at all has gotten accomplished today in doing this. And people are just screaming at me, thinking, you know, just kind of like, that's what I get. Oh man, is that hard to say? Maybe. That's what I feel like I get a lot of. It's mostly in my head. It's like you're drawing all this other shit. Where's the next issue, JM? The issues are all in my head. That's what's delaying the issue. That issue is delayed because of my issues, which Jim here is trying to help me with, at least on the conlanging end. Speaking of Robert E. Howard and Red Sonja, there's supposedly a new Red Sonja movie that's been shot. At least, you know, the comic book Red Sonja. What's today's date? The 4th. I try to date everything I do, even when thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I'm extremely hard on myself. Just ask my family. They're almost like nobody ever needs to be hard on me because I just kick the ever living shit out of myself every day. What was I saying? Red Sonja movie, right? Comic book Red Sonja. Supposedly a new movie's been shot. I don't know if it's gonna see the light of day. I got really excited when that Solomon Kane movie was shot, and then it wasn't released in the U.S. until it surfaced on like Netflix or something. And I finally got to watch it, and I enjoyed it. But the director had already moved on to other things, and he wasn't going to be doing any sequels. Robert E. Howard's work always gets like a bad rap, and not enough support when it comes to film adaptations. But I guess he does better than Lovecraft, because Lovecraft just never. Well, I shouldn't say never gets a good adaptation, because the Richard oh man, I can't remember his name. Guy that did Island of Dr. Moreau years ago. Yeah, but he just did The Color Out of Space, and that was pretty good. I know it when I hear it. Richard something. Yeah, he is intense. But if I like reading his stuff, I like reading anything, as far as how hard the work is to get through, how dense it is. On the other hand, when the racism creeps up, that's not good at all. But thankfully, there was less of it as his work went on. I wouldn't hazard a guess that he was reformed in any way, but she was up here before the show started, because I sat down here about a half hour before, and she has not been over here since. She slept a good deal today because she was playing with a toy earlier. I decided to hit it with some catnip spray that I got her for Christmas with one of the new toys I got her. And when I left to go have dinner with my parents, she was like dead asleep. She could be sleeping right now again, for all I know. Catnip might have really got her going. Hey, Cirilla, where are you? Yeah, she wasn't even up here at the start of the show, so I have. Do I hear her? Oh, here she comes. Yeah, Catnip will do it. Hey, lady. Jim wanted to say hi. There she is. See? She's like a dog. She'll come when I call her. Most of the time. But now you're getting all that fur. All that fur. What's up, lady? Yeah, this is good, because I kind of need a mental break, because I just drew like 3 different things in an hour and explained part of my linguistic thoughts for languages in Chadiana's world. So my brain just needs a second break. Just a minute. Just a minute to pet a cat. There she is. Yeah, she had a lot of fun with the toy today. I've been trying to make a concerted effort to play with her more too, because last year I was on the road 20 of the 52 weeks. And even though it's weekends, that's a lot of time to be she can ignore you in several language. Cirilla, I guess, would be considered bilingual. There's a little tiny bit of Hindi I use with her. I mean, I call her Billy, which is Hindi for cat. Well, it's actually Billy. I kind of threw a little extra on the I there, but she knows that, right? And then I'll call her Choti Billy and Sundar Billy. I mean, she used to be tiny. Oh, what else do I say to you? Not too much else. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. She is multilingual. Because sometimes in the morning I will tell her Carpe Diem, you know. So she knows one phrase in Latin. That's about it. Right? Mostly English, though. I think because I had Cirilla since she was 6 weeks old, that's what made it easier for me to get her to be so affectionate and actually listen to me. Although there's plenty of times she ignores me, Jim, but I'll tell you, once or twice she got out of the apartment when I didn't want her to be or I needed her to get back inside. And oh, that's awesome. Chitara is a good one. I used to love Thundercats as a kid. Once or twice, like I just looked at her and I was like, get back inside. And she flew back in. So she will listen sometimes, you know, but like most cats, you know, she's got a healthy amount of independence. And I also try to give her as much autonomy as possible. Right? Kind of march to your own beat. That's why I don't kick you off the table when we're in the middle of a live stream, except every once in a while when I really, really need you to give me some space. Yeah, I was more of a Thundercats and Masters of the Universe guy, and Silverhawks. I didn't really watch G.I. Joe or Transformers. Oh, I'm drawing blanks like crazy. Although it's a funny thing, I don't know if I've told this story on a live stream, or at least not when you were here. But I do somewhat give credit to I give credit indirectly to Masters of the Universe to inspiring Chadiana, because when we were kids, my brother and I would watch Masters of the Universe, or as we just called it back then, He-Man, even though I was a Skeletor fan. And apparently, as my mom tells the story, we would beat the crap out of each other after we watched it. I guess we would just get like so hyped up. So she eventually got tired of it, and she was like, that's it. You're not watching He-Man anymore. You're watching She-Ra, and that's the end of it. And that was it. My only option then was She-Ra, Princess of Power. And that is why I think there is a slight link, even though I barely remember much about that show, you know, except for her and Hordak, because he was a cool looking character, right? I don't. I do still say that if it wasn't for that, maybe I would never have created a character like Chadiana, because I probably had female swordswomen on the mind from an early age. Right? I don't have him in front of me, so I hope I don't mess this up. What do we got over there? I still got my Chris Campana version, though, over my desk. Yeah, she really is. I would like to do a cat picture where she is my model for it. But the problem is, I don't want to say problem. Like, I can easily do a black cat with a witch hat. Like, I still want to keep it in my wheelhouse. Like if I do a cat picture too, just to broaden the selection of prints that I have. But the question is, what do I do with Cirilla? I mean, her coloring works fine for a fantasy or, oh man, that is terrible. I mean, the skull's good, but I really should have been coming up with an idea for a pose first. So I'm not sure what I would do as her. I'm not sure what the Cirilla image would be. Yeah, no, your spelling is correct. Your spelling is exactly correct. I'm a Y guy. I don't know why I just like throwing those in, but I had found a spelling that had a Y, and that's why I chose it. Although, yeah, I mean, I had just played The Witcher 3, but I was looking for exotic names, and I want to say that I think we've discussed this before. I want to say that the name is actually like Greek or something, which would make sense. Given its spelling. But yeah, I like to default to Y's, which is why two of my languages will heavily use them more than I's. Actually, maybe three. Maybe three. She's drinking from a little, I don't want to say bucket. Oh, I didn't even realize they weren't following me before. In the morning, I pour my coffee water out from a container, but then I refill it so that she has a second place to drink water from. I don't know why she's so obsessed with it, but she is. It's just one of those like big soup containers that you get at a Chinese food restaurant or what have you. It would be more like that. Yep. I forgot what those swords look like. I'm hoping tomorrow I finally start landing on an idea that I can start a painting. But it is nice to just be drawing in my sketchbook a bit. The thing is, if I keep going with these Nosferatu pieces, going back a bit, I was going to do this where I just did modern and the original, because I really have not done a piece with the new Orlok look, even though I prefer the old, at least for Orlok. I could kind of do a homage diptych 2 pieces. And then maybe I could give it a rest on Nosferatu for a little while and get some other things done. Actually, speaking of Master of the Universe and Skeletor, I was going to do a Skeletor Mumra, and not as many people know this, but Skull from Supernatural. Supernaturals, it was a toy line. They never made a cartoon out of it that I'm aware of. I was going to do a piece of artwork with all of them, but that was when I was still heavily into thinking I was going to do more fan art pieces. I still could do it. I am not against doing some like very limited run one-offs of fan art. I don't want to concentrate on that anymore. So, oh man. Like I want to do a Vampire Hunter D and Alucard from Castlevania piece too. But again, trying not to get so heavily into the fan art stuff. I don't know. There's something I'm not liking about it. This guy, I feel like Skeletor's arms are bigger. I mean, those He-Man guys are just so... It's hard for me to draw guys that muscular. Like, I would imagine that, not that I think like I'm, the first guy that Marvel is like knocking on the door of, obviously, but like, I feel like the Incredible Hulk would be an incredibly bad idea for me to draw, because I don't know that I can wrap my head around drawing muscles that big and making it believable for me. I wouldn't believe my own artwork. I would just be like, that just looks ridiculous. Whereas I can appreciate it when other people do it. But for my own style, I don't know that I'd be right for it. Of course, I would love to draw Ghost Rider. And then other than that, I was talking to a friend where I do feel like I could probably do... I probably would be okay working on Doctor Strange. And that's not to say that I have aspirations for working for Marvel. That's the kind of thing where if it happened, I'd be happy to do it. It's good for the resume. But I'm not like trying to chase that job, Will it happen? Won't it? I guess just see if it ever does. I'd be much more interested in drawing something like Hellboy, or, doing something for Eric Powell on the Goon or something. I really don't remember. Those swords were kind of like wide and bulky. I don't feel like stopping the stream just so I can go look up a reference for Skeletor's sword right now, but yeah. See, that's what I'm like. Even his pose right now, I feel like I should be doing more prints where the characters are actually doing things. But I don't know. It doesn't bother me with Orlok so much because he is such a stiff character, but even there, I feel like, I don't know. I want to do stuff that's just a little bit more illustrative. I just did a alternate cover for Gobblers #3, and I have 2 skeleton warriors that are kind of not fully seen, but they're in the foreground. I don't know. I just love the idea of skeletons walking around. It's just it amuses me. Yeah, for sure. I just don't get me wrong. I think pinup artwork is cool, and by pinup I just mean generally like any character, just kind of like centered and in a pose. But I feel like it's always more interesting if it looks like there's a story in the artwork, where there's just something happening that fills in a little bit, where I should say the viewer has to fill in a little bit of information with their imagination. So yeah, that's why like I'm hesitant to do the cat piece, because I don't know what I would do with the cat. A cat knight, have him doing something that looks like it could be something. The dragon, I already have 2 ideas for something. The crow, I don't know, or raven, I should say. If I do a crow, though, a little bit different. Then I have a poem that I wrote, which is kind of a weird in the weird tales sense. I have a poem I wrote that has to do with crows, and I have thought about doing prints that also have like a poem with them, so they would be. It's like, when do I have the time for all this? I don't publish a lot of my poetry, and to be honest, I haven't written any in a while, but it would be like a poem with an image, something going on. I have a poem there, break it up and put it here, but you'd have like text and words together, which in that case I think would be pretty cool. But then I don't know, my mind just shot into another area, which is I like telling a story with stuff. I wouldn't say literary. I would say my poems, I'm not very well read in poetry. I mean, yeah, in high school and college, but like literally my favorite poems are my favorite poets are Poe and Robert E. Howard. Incidentally, Robert E. Howard wrote some really good poetry. Very much more story driven poetry, but it was good. But yeah, I think it would certainly highlight my writing a little bit more if I threw some of my poems into my prints. It's just like everything else, it's like when somebody was telling me that maybe I should do the dragon piece and the cat piece. I'm like, yeah, but like, when do I add that in? Because I'm seriously wanting to get that tarot deck developed and done. Maybe 2 of them. That's a lot of work, besides Chadiana and needing to very much get another novel out, because I didn't put out anything last year. My schedule just got so busy, there was just no way to produce anything new. Not on a quick enough timeline, which is what I'm trying to avoid this year. So I'm trying to stay dedicated to languages and other projects so that I don't get so wrapped up in, just trying to do shows, which still are the main source of my income. About 80% last year was from doing shows. So I have to do them until I can shift things a little bit. And I'll still always want to do them, but yeah, I can't let them take over. And that all started because I was talking about poetry on on prints. You know, it's not perfect, but I do kind of like that Skeletor. Can't see it right now, I know, because it's all Cirilla's head. There he is. Just poking through. What are we going to do with you, Rel? What are we going to do with you? This is what people come for, is watching me pet you. It's an interesting live stream, even more than the last one, because I really feel like I'm just dumping every idea that comes to my head onto the paper tonight. We talk about Masters of the Universe, and then suddenly Skeletor appears on a sketch page. Not that I've gone through that many pages, but a lot's happened in only 3 pages. I wish my writing could be like that. So just densely packed that it's like, man, I feel like I've read 12 chapters. Only 3 pages? How many more left? Imagine having that kind of breakneck speed, making people feel that satisfied with a story where they read just a couple pages and feel like they've been reading 10s or 20s of pages, hundreds of pages. What do we got here? I'm sorry. I get updates in the middle of my shows sometimes, and every once in a while I'm like, just curious what that notification was about. Whew. Oh, man. The most basic thing. There she is. The most basic thing I can think to really do with a cat, if I'm going to do one more Halloween oriented, and because of all my witches, is to give one a witch hat. But then it's like, what else do I do with the cat? What else do I do with the cat? It's funny because I watch a cat all day. Maybe have a knocking. It's witch's potion on the ground because it just doesn't like that it's sitting on a table. But see, if I did a witch cat, that would, I mean, I hate to be stereotypical, but, I feel like it would be a black cat. So I still would need something for a Cirilla cat to do. Which is how part of that conversation started before. I was like, well, she could work in either scenario. Not going to be a night cat, so I'm sorry, night cat in that sense. So, I mean, I guess technically she could, but oof. That's all freehand. At some point, I'll land on an idea. Sometimes, though, it is just, I think I said it before, it's just nice to just continue to scribble page after page after page in a sketchbook. When I was, I would say it was a period of time when I got really burnt out and things weren't working out with Chadiana's old publisher, and I just started sketching constantly in my sketchbook again, and that was around 2017. It's also when I really got a better handle on how to like outline my stories and novels and stuff, because I read The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. And when I was sketching constantly in my sketchbook, that's how I finally arrived on the pretty definitive style I have now. Not that, there's certain aspects of your art that always stays at least loosely identifiable, but the way I draw now had a lot to do with just working in my sketchbook constantly in like 2017 and through maybe 2018 or 19. And then starting to apply a lot of that new stuff. That cat's pretty far away, unless you're looking at this on a big screen TV. But yeah, without reference. And the cat was not next to me, so, I just... Oh. I don't know why. Oh, sorry for the moving there. I'm trying to cross my legs around this pole right here as best I can. My legs just seem to be stiff today. I don't know why. I am okay. You read my bio. Well, thanks for finding it, Dolomane. You read my bio. So when I was in heavy metal, that was in 2009. I haven't been in the magazine since, but I do know that they're relaunching it. And I am like, I've hit up their Instagram a couple times when they posted the stuff. I really would like to get back in the magazine. In fact, my comic character Chadiana, I think, would work really well because she is very dark fantasy, sword and sorcery type. So thanks. I'm glad you think the cat looks good too. Yeah, I would totally love to do stuff for them. When I did work for heavy metal, it was during the time that Kevin Eastman still owned it, co-creator of the Ninja Turtles. I actually met him and he got me in the magazine at the time. That was back in 2009. What I wouldn't do to be back in it. Because honestly, like, as far as publishers go, I was talking earlier about how I would, of course, take a job with Marvel if it ever came my way. But, I would much rather work on something like Hellboy or The Goon or whatever, which is through Dark Horse. Dark Horse would definitely be like my top comic publisher, as far as like, traditional publishers of that stuff goes. But heavy metal is also another one. Like, just a top publisher I've always wanted to work for. I've been in the magazine once. I would love to be back in it. So yeah, You know, I'll keep trying. I certainly will. At some point, maybe I'll get their attention again, whoever the new guys are. But yeah, it would be great. I just feel like that magazine's always been more cutting edge and unique and different. So, you know, I don't want to knock on the stuff because I have friends that definitely do more mainstream comic stuff. Especially one friend of mine who I've known almost my entire career. But the mainstream stuff just doesn't do it for me as much. So, yeah. Heavy metal's much more interesting and inspiring to me. What do we got here? Sorry, I'm just looking at updates. But thank you, Delamain. I forgot to highlight the comment, I think. I'm glad YouTube actually recommended something on my channel. I mean, what is this, the 54th live stream? I try to do them every Tuesday night, which I've been back at again pretty regularly. I skipped one episode when I was in Cape Cod. For anybody that has watched these shows before, I just decided that when I'm away, even when I'm staying with Steph and Carrie Ann, who also do their live streams, it's just easier if I don't try to squeeze mine into it. Just makes for a difficult stay. Not with them, it's just we're always doing live streams around each other, and it just winds up being a lot of late nights, and I'd rather when I'm away just be away and enjoy it. But yeah, Dolomine, if you happen to subscribe, I usually do these Tuesday at 8 p.m. and Eastern time. I don't know where you're out of. And then what do I do? I've been changing my Whatnot show format if you're on Whatnot. I've been doing live drawings on those too, plus offering commissions during them. If you're on Whatnot, I was doing them during the day on Tuesday, but that's a lot of live streaming in one day. So I'm going to try out tomorrow night. Go back to doing Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. No, I'm going to do 6 p.m. because I'm going to try to do a 4-hour stream on that. We'll see if I can manage 4 hours. Oh, man. That's cool, though. I feel good about that. YouTube actually recommended my channel to somebody for once. I'm like, oh, man, I feel like I've actually made a dent somewhere. How about that? With all the Orlock stuff, I feel like maybe a rat artwork would be good too, right? Maybe. But then, like, what's he doing? What do we have the rat doing? Is it a vampire rat? Does he have long front teeth that are sharp like Orlock? Is he a Nosferatu? Oh man, it won't work because it just reads like Nosferatu. Oh no. Oh, I can't do my Nosferatu pun. Damn. I would have to like change it to uppercase so that it stood out. Nosferatu. Jeez. Jim, you still there? You seeing how these ideas just start taking over everything? And it's like, where do we start? I was talking about how I gotta, work on my languages more. I still have 2 sketchbooks, like black and white sketchbooks on Lovecraft and cryptids and monsters that I gotta finish. Nosferatu, that could work too. Nosferatu. It's just that really sucks. Until I wrote it out, I was like, "Oh, this is a great idea." Nosferat. Oh, it's working. That's exactly how I spell Nosferatu. It's like, I almost had it. Yeah, doing some kind of phonetic spelling, even more phonetic than Nosferatu. For Nosferatu would work. But then, how do I make him all vampire? Like, I could hunch him more like Warlock is. Yikes. I'm not sure what the yikes is for. I hope I didn't say anything off color. Did I? Sometimes things just flow out of my mouth. Oh, he could even have the mustache like the new one. Just give him his little whiskers, but have them turn downward in like a mustache look. This is how it just evolves. This is the descent into madness. It does say that down there, just like a spiral. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what the yikes was for. Yeah, I haven't quite landed on like an idea that I really want to work on right now. And actually, besides Chadiana proper, I have 3 more comics to do for Echidna comic for Chadiana as well. I should be working on those. Obviously, I'm not tonight. God, that gets me. I can't, it hasn't happened to me yet where I really thought I was getting a pun. Because I just did Nosferatu, right? And I've thought of was it Nosferatu or was it Cthulhu? Something like that. And then I also have my little Cthulhus, which are cute Thulus. But yeah, I really thought that was going to work out perfectly. It's already in there. Rat is part of Nosferatu. Just no change to spelling. Oh, all right. Guess I could give him a little coffin with little rat skulls in it. Maybe. Little stone wall with a hole in it. That's too funny. Oh, I was saying this before, unfinished thought, but the problem is, I was saying I like doing storytelling with my artwork, but there's also this other love I have for just very, I wouldn't say pin-up-y designs, but I would say very graphic designs, in the sense where things just have like a certain, order and, just a very graphic look, almost like symbols sitting on a page. So sometimes the story I want to tell is more in the symbols and the layout rather than the actual, like, the characters doing something as if they were in the middle of a snapshot of a story or a scene. So when I do stuff like that, then it feels more like straight on pin-up-y, but I still feel like I've been just relying too heavily on just doing straight pin-up pieces, and not enough storytelling, or even, the more graphic look. Now, there was this part of me that was thinking it would be really cool to do another Wicked Witch piece, but where she was just kind of small and kind of like summoning all her flying monkey people, because there was somebody that mentioned I should do a Wicked Witch with the flying monkeys, and I was like, have you seen my Wicked Witch piece? It'd be like on the top of a tower in Oz with, I don't know, a moon and things going on. I don't know, something. something. But this is just it. I have two sketchbooks before this that have a number of pages with just thumbnail after thumbnail after thumbnail of all these different ideas. A lot of them were fan art pieces before I decided to, like, almost wholesale abandon that stuff. I had probably another 30 images I wanted to do. My problem with the fan art, besides not being able to sell it, well, I'm sorry. My problem with the fan art first is, of course, I just don't like infringing on people's copyrights. And then the other thing is I can't sell it everywhere. Like, I have an Etsy store, and even though people get away with it for a while, you're not really supposed to put fan art up on Etsy. So it's like, I want to keep my store. So what do? I guess I can't put those pieces up. So then I'm only limited to selling them at a show. So it's that kind of stuff where it's just like, I don't know, I don't want to have limited audiences. And then, as I think I've said before, some shows don't want people in them that are doing fan art of copyrighted stuff. If I do Oz stuff and it's from my own imagination based on the books, well, those aren't copyright. The original Nosferatu is not copyrighted. Technically, I could do Night of the Living Dead. That's not copyrighted. I actually did work on a Night of the Living Dead project. Night of the Living Dead Reanimated. Strange art house type of film thing. Art film. Soundtrack and voice track in Night of the Living Dead, and then other artists illustrated, animated, did puppetry, all kinds of stuff to it. Some people even reacted out scenes with filters and stuff on it. And before he died, George Romero was aware of the project. So, but I don't think he ever made any specific declaration on whether he considered it like a canon work in the Dead series or not. But he was aware of the project and was supportive of it. You can still find it places. I'm sure it's on Amazon Prime. That looks like a bunch of witches, but I swear it's just one. That's just little tiny spires. Well, they're not really spires because they're not on the roof. They're not the roof. Little decorations on the castle. All right. It's just about 10 o'clock, and I feel like my brain is just about fried on coming up with ideas. It may not look like a lot, but a whole linguistic history and just a bunch of ideas just spread out on 3.5 pages. Oof. That's been the work lately. At some point, it'll hit me. Maybe I'm just a little bit in a in-between period where I haven't figured out what I want to work. Well, obviously, I'm in an in-between period where I don't know what I want to work on. Anyway, I'll be back next week, Tuesday, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe I'll be working on something new and, not sketches, I mean. See you next time, Jim. And if anybody's on Whatnot, again, I'll be going live at 6 p.m. tomorrow, doing another live stream. Last 2 streams, people have been getting commissions from me, so it's a nice opportunity to see one come to life right in front of you, or just come and chat in another format. We'll see how it goes, how all these go. And yeah, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel and you're watching this on Facebook, I would go subscribe to my YouTube channel, because again, as soon as July hits, I'm not going to be paying for StreamYard anymore because the price is getting too high. I had paid a year in advance, so I can get away with it for a bit. But yeah, I'm probably going to stream directly to YouTube on these nights once July hits. So, move over there while you have the chance. Otherwise, keep enjoying it on Facebook and YouTube. I'll keep going with YouTube. I think that's it. Or maybe I'll see you at the horror sideshow this weekend, or Undead of Winter in Pennsylvania and Dead of Winter in Massachusetts. That's this month. Okay, I think that's it. My brain really does feel fried. Have a great night, everyone. It's been good. Nice conversations here. I've had a good time, tired as I am for whatever reason. See you in a week. All right, start getting the music ready and everything. Whoops, I didn't turn it on. See, I don't even know what I'm doing here. All right. Take care, everyone. I will see you. All right. Bye.